Natural Born Coaches, episode number 396.
You're listening to the Natural Born Coaches podcast, where coaches come every day to be inspired, learn how to get clients, and build a stronger business. And here's your host, friend to all coaches worldwide, Marc Mawhinney.
Hi, it's Mark, and I have some exciting news. I'm now offering an Accelerate for Clients group program where I'll work directly with you to grow your coaching business. This is designed to fit your schedule and your budget, but spots are limited. Head over to naturalborncoaches.com/AFC group. That's naturalborncoaches.com/AFC group. Hey coaches, welcome back to another episode of Natural Born Coaches, the daily podcast for your coaching business. I'm Marc Mawhinney, and today's guest is coming from Sri Lanka, and I believe that's the first guest from Sri Lanka on the show today. I'm pleased to have on the show someone who's a successful entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and personal development coach. He has over 15 years of work experience locally there and internationally. He's all about motivation, self-discovery, overcoming adversity, and creating winning strategies. And his big theme for his business is discovering the winner in you. Pleased to have on the show today, Faril Farooq. How are you, Faril?
I'm doing good. Thanks, Mark. And it's a pleasure to be the first from Sri Lanka.
Yes. Yeah, there's a first for everything. And it's kind of a study of contrast today because we were chatting a little bit before we started. Here in Canada, we're hit with a blizzard today as we're recording this. So we've got a ton of snow, a lot of white stuff out there. Our temperature is minus 12 degrees Celsius. So for my American friends, that works out to about 10.4 degrees Fahrenheit. You, on the other hand, are hot, sunny, 31 degrees Celsius, which converts to almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I think about 88 degrees Fahrenheit. So we've got a difference of 10 degrees Fahrenheit here in sunny Canada and almost 90 degrees in Sri Lanka. So that's probably the biggest contrast that we've had on the show. So I should mention too, where you're across the world and stuff, hopefully the audio is okay. Could be a little bit, choppy at times, but I think we're going to get a lot from this show. So I'm really pleased to have you on here. Thanks for doing this.
Sure, anytime. Yeah, it's a total contrast, but maybe we should swap sometimes.
I would gladly swap. Can I come over?
Why not? Anytime.
Yeah, I'll get my ticket tomorrow.
We'll be ready for you.
Yes, Faril, let's jump in. Like I mentioned, your theme or slogan is Discover the Winner in You. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you started doing this?
Yes, well, like you mentioned, I was an entrepreneur most part of my life. I've also been in the advertising industry several years. So I had some ups and downs in the entrepreneurial journey. I enjoyed it. In fact, the last business, I invested most of my capital. And after several years, I came to a point where that particular business, I came into a bankruptcy. So I had a very little option but to look for something that will motivate me, something that I'm passionate about. And I thought at that point, maybe I should get into something that I'm passionate about. And that's by circumstance, I got into motivation and teaching. So that was how I got into this theme, Discover the Winner in You, by going in on my own journey and discovering myself.
Right. And I've been there before too with bankruptcy. I'm sure a lot of people listening have gone through that as well. Or if you are going through it, I guess what you could learn from Faril and I is it's not the end of the world. A lot of times it can open up doors to something better. So I wouldn't be speaking with you today had I not gone through my failure. At the time, it felt like a failure, but my challenges, I would have never got into coaching. Things happen for a reason. I'm reading a book currently, an NLP book, and what it's talking about is how it doesn't matter what happens to you in the past. That doesn't matter. It's really what your response to those events are. Would you agree?
Exactly. It's not how you start, but it's how you finish that matters. So it's the process that people give up. So winners don't quit. You should keep moving.
Right. Now, I'm not too familiar with the culture in Sri Lanka. I can tell you here in North America how it is that there's a lot of people who are more traditional and they don't take a chance. And any entrepreneurs who are going for it are considered crazy. They're nuts. How's the culture there towards entrepreneurs? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's a good question because here I guess it's a safe feeling where most people like to play it safe within their comfort zones. And lately we see a change with a lot of new entrepreneurship coming out from the youngsters. Overall, the culture is very slow. People are very much going into the corporate world and gradually settling into entrepreneurship. So I think it's a slow process, but it's changing.
So how's the whole coaching, speaking, personal development world there? Is that growing as well, or is there still a ways to go before it's widely accepted in Sri Lanka?
It's a big market here. We get a lot of personal trainers and seminars happening here. Coaching is an emerging market, but there is a lot of scope, I would say. The future looks good, so it's on a transition stage, I would say.
Okay. So, Faril, you went through your challenges where you fell on your butt and you had to get back up. What advice would you give for anyone else who's going through these challenges? What's the first thing that you should do after you get knocked down to get back up?
One of the best things is take things as it comes and wait for that right moment. Many people rush. I believe they rush for success. Success, I believe, takes time. You should be willing to go through the process because once you go through that process, you actually overcome fear, overcome challenges, and you bring the better side in you. So one of the best ways is keep pursuing, look for other interests during the challenging time until you find the momentum. Because once you find the momentum, things will start happening. Like people call the law of attraction, as well as some even call it luck, where things happen once you bring the process, the hard times. So no matter how hard you've been hit, you come back and keep fighting.
Right. I don't know about you, but I know with myself, after so many years doing one thing, I was in real estate since I was right out of university. So my whole adult life was all real estate. And it can be a little bit like a mourning period if you're going through something like that. But it does take a bit of time to decide your next step, where you're going in the path. So it's not like the next morning you're going to wake up and say, okay, here's my new direction. Maybe it is that you do discover. But I think the biggest key, at least I found, is trying different things and not to put too much pressure on yourself. Just try different things that you think you'd like to do, and you'd be surprised at what directions can open up and what new paths if you're trying new things.
Definitely, yeah. Environment is key, I would say. Finding the right people around you, mastermind, so you can bring out the better side in you. So I believe your environment, the 5 people you move around, will play the first role in taking the next step.
Yeah, I love that you say that. Jim Rohn talks about that, the 5 people that you spend most of the time with. And sometimes you have to shed those people that aren't a great influence on you. And it can be tough if you've been friends with Bobby or Mary since high school and you feel like a jerk if you're saying, no, I can't be around you anymore. It doesn't mean you have to completely cut them off, but you can definitely limit time with them. But I don't think we realize how much impact people closest to us have on us. It's kind of a hidden influence, but it's a huge influence.
Exactly. It plays a silent role, but on the larger picture, you got to follow your inner voice. So if you know it is the right moment, take the next action. You have to pursue with that.
I'll never forget a story Jim Rohn told in one of his programs. I think it was How to Journal. Listen to an audio program of that. And he told the story of a fellow who was super motivated all week long. He was a really positive guy and never really had an issue with negative thinking, except for some reason Wednesday afternoons, he was in a real bad mood and he couldn't figure out why. So he went back and he looked into his journal and thought, what's so different about Wednesday afternoons that I feel so crummy compared to the rest of the week? And he realized that on Wednesdays at lunch, he was going out to lunch with a couple of his former coworkers. And they spent the whole lunch and complaining about their boss where he used to work. And that's all they did. And he was carrying that negativity onward throughout the day on Wednesday. And he wouldn't have realized that had he not journaled, I guess, because he could look back and say, what was I doing on Wednesdays that were so different? But that's perfect illustration there of that impact that the people around you can have. So get away from the water cooler if there's people constantly griping and complaining, because it's not helping you.
Exactly, absolutely. You got to find your right mix.
Yeah. So as you're growing your business, Faril, with personal development, I know you're doing coaching, speaking, all that stuff. What's been the biggest obstacle that you've run into as you're growing it?
Perception of how people see you. So especially as a coach starting out, there's a lot of the initial hurdle to get your name yourself out there. But once you pass that initial hurdle, then you can muster the courage to move in to attract more customers, as well as open the door for more opportunities. So that I believe that initial challenge to keep moving until you get customer by customer, then more customers will come. A strategy I use is I do these motivation sessions on a public level. So many customers come at me afterwards and they give follow-up customers. So that is one way you build step by step more customers.
Okay. So right now you're doing, I know, a lot of business in your home country. Are you looking to do other things all around, like let's say here in North America?
That is the larger picture. I have broken my goals into categories. So I believe for the next 12 months, I will be focusing more on the regional aspect. Then as we go, I want to publish. I'm looking at publishing my own book. Then why not? Bigger the better.
Exactly. Well, you might want to wait a little bit. Right now, like I said, there's a ton of snow. So you'll want to wait a month or two before you venture at least into Canada. Yeah.
Definitely. We'll check and come.
Yeah, but you're free to stay in my igloo whenever you come over. I've got a room here in my snow fort.
Wow, that's I appreciate it.
So you mentioned that you broke your goals into 12 months at a time. Is that how you structure all of your goals, or do you also set a 5-year goal, 10-year goal? I've heard some people setting 25 or 50-year goals, which seems really far out. But how long are you generally setting your goals out?
It's a good question you ask, because I believe though you have a larger vision or a 10-year plan, the maximum you should have is a 5-year goal. Then you break it down, because if you have the stamina to go for the first 5 years, you will definitely get to the next level. So how I break it down is month by month, and then break into smaller goals and do the important thing first. And every day I have a small habit of doing one different thing. So that helped me to do the harder ones as you go.
Okay. So can you give us an example of what that difficult thing could be?
Well, for example, we'll say I write down the previous day some of the goals for the next day. And one of the goals is to meet up a customer that had been delaying for a long time and kind of procrastinating. So I make the point, okay, today I'll finish this job, know how difficult it becomes. So every day I bring up a different challenge. So it makes life easy, because once you do a thing that you thought which was difficult at the first, it becomes easy as you go.
I know that you do a lot of speaking, but early on, I'm guessing that you weren't as polished as you are now when you're up, say, on a stage speaking to an audience. Any tips that you have for people who are struggling with public speaking? Do you imagine the audience naked, or do you use another?
Wow. Definitely, but that was one of my biggest challenges as well. I was actually having kind of a speaking disability at the beginning, where I could not speak very confident. I get very nervous seeing a crowd. So I guess I took it as a positive curve. I was ready to fail. So that is one of the best ways to learn. No matter if you do not perform at your best, you learn, you profit from that experience and try to improve with each experience. That was one of the best ways I grew.
Right. So with the business that you're in, you're doing speaking, coaching, there's a lot of people getting into it. I believe that there's still a lot of room for more people to get in, because people are just finding out about the advantages of coaching and personal development. But how do you deal with that many people that you're, quote, competing with? I know that we don't always think of it as competition, but the reason I ask is there's a lot of people who are listening who might be thinking, oh, wow, there's a lot of coaches out there. There's a lot of speakers out there. How can I possibly get business with that many people competing with me? How do you deal with that?
I believe it's the qualities. You're confident, or it's your brand. If you can deliver what you promise, then customers will be loyal towards you. Unfortunately, like you say, there is a lot. It's a mushroom at the moment. If you can deliver what you promise and always up your game, I'm sure customers will be with you.
Yeah, because I don't know about your neck of the woods in that part of the world, but I know here in North America, coaching, it's been around for a while, but there's still a long ways to go. It's now becoming more accepted for people to hire a coach, whereas 10 years ago, if you said to someone, I'm hiring a coach, they would look at you like you've got two heads. Like, what the heck are you talking about? Is it the same way over there?
Yeah, kind of. Still, they have that perception. When you say a coach, they get idea of somebody with the whistle and who comes there with an aggressive mood. But I guess gradually they're getting into this mentors, having psychologists, and as well as coaches internally as well as externally. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, exactly. So with your business, Pharrell, do you have any sort of tools or apps that you use a lot, like online resources?
Yeah, Mark, I'm frequent with social media. Mostly I use Facebook, plus LinkedIn is also another tool I use. But I follow a lot of communities and websites. I don't know if you've heard that there's a site called Living Your Legend by Scott Dinsmore. Beautiful community. Plus few others like Daniel Presley has another one called Key Person of Influence. Plus, I also enjoy a lot of webinars and also Coaching Jungle run by you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Coaching Jungle group. Thank you for being part of that. I am familiar with Scott Dinsmore. Unfortunately, I believe he passed away last fall. Climbing, I think, Mount Kilimanjaro. I'd heard a little bit about him, but tell you the truth, I really checked in after I'd heard that because a lot of people in my network were talking about Scott Dinsmore. So his message lives on, even though that tragedy happened last fall.
That's true. He is larger than life. What he created was something where, like you say, the legacy continues, something beautiful.
And you look at all the greats, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, people who've passed on, they're going just as strong now, even though they've been gone for some time. So I think when you put out something that's helping people, Napoleon Hill, perfect example. He's been gone for a long time, but he's still influencing me and a lot of people who listen to the show. Yeah, I think that's one of the best goals that we can strive for as coaches and people who are motivating others is we want our message and our legacy to live on for years and years afterwards. So I mentioned a couple authors here in this chat, but do you have any books that you recommend that have really had a big impact on your life?
Yeah, certainly. On the entrepreneurial part, I enjoy Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Also, I enjoyed I'm sure everybody read Losing Your Virginity by Richard Branson. Apart from that, I enjoyed the Napoleon Hill series and also have a Leak Out a title by Robin Sharma. It's also one of my favorites. Yes. Those are some of the books. I have quite a few, but these I think stands out.
So your book that you're looking to release, what's that going to focus on? I know your theme's Discover the Winner in You, but can you talk a little bit more about what that book will be about?
The title will remain the same, but the book will revolve around discovering one's passion and putting it onto purpose. And I believe the day you discover your passion and convert it into a purpose is the day you start living. So there's a formula I have created where a person can discover what is his passion and convert it into a pursuit. Plus I have a 5-year formula how this passion or that you could convert your career into a business. Through this book, I have given tools and also a lot of formulas how a person can nurture his business or get his life to the next level.
Well, good luck with that book. Be interested in having a look once that comes out. For real, if you had to give just, say, one piece of advice to the coaches who are listening to the show, what would it be?
Yeah, there are many, but specifically I would say is never rush success. You should wait for your time to come. It's always good to have a vision for yourself and then take action from there. Every day, do something important. Take baby steps. Find your mastermind group or your sanctuary and discover yourself every day. Because once you go through this process, you will discover more of who you are. And when the opportunity comes, you shine. You bring out the best in you. I like to bring a quote of Whitney Young says, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than have an opportunity and not be prepared.
I agree. And I love what you're saying about being patient. And that's a challenge for me because I'm not the most patient guy in the world. But I find nowadays people are so eager for everything. They want it all to happen tomorrow, right? And they're seeing ads online and a lot of get rich quick. They think that, I can have a 6 or 7 figure coaching business in a month or two. And unfortunately, it takes time. You got to work your way through it. You got to put that effort in and you have to be patient, but it will come. And if you keep working at it, it's awful hard to not be successful in coaching. If you're giving it 100%, working hard at it and putting out value, then it's near impossible to not be successful. It's going to happen, if you put enough time and patience into it.
Exactly. How I see it is like looking at a mountain. Most people look at the mountain and hoping that they can climb this mountain, whereas the people who do take the steps as they go on, they see a better view. While some of the people stop halfway through, but the more you keep going, the better the view becomes, and you open up to a newer world. You see the bigger picture than the gallery down.
It's okay to take a peek at the top of the mountain. It can inspire you, but it can also sometimes be overwhelming because it's so high up in the air. So sometimes it's better to put your head down and just take that step and then the next step and so on. And Get some help from some Sherpas if you get a chance to. I guess that's
why not?
There's your mastermind. So for real, besides your book that you're working on, do you have any other projects coming up that you're really excited about?
The main project is I want to build on this brand, the Discover the Winner in You. That's my signature workshop that I conduct a lot of public workshops, as well as I go to visit a lot of schools. I do a lot of youth leadership programs. So my focus is to enhance on that line, as well as build on my coaching career within the next 12 months, and on the sideline focus on book.
And how can people find you online?
Yeah, well, they could log into my website, which is farillfarouk.com, which is FARILLFAROOK.com. Or they can check my Facebook, which is facebook.com/farillfarouk.
Awesome. Well, Faril, thanks for doing this, and thanks for being the first guest from Sri Lanka. There's a mouthful for me, Sri Lanka. I believe you're the first one, so thanks for doing this and for taking the time to share more about your coaching business.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Anytime, Mark. Thank you very much.
So we've had Faril Farouk on the show today. Thanks to Faril. And thanks to you guys for tuning into another episode. I'm Marc Mawhinney, and I'll see you on the next Natural Born Coaches.
Thanks for listening. Head over to naturalborncoaches.com for full recaps of every show, our amazing resources, and our blog, all designed to support your coaching business. See you next time.